Welcome to Bangladesh at first, and how are you feeling now in this series to cover?
Very good. Always good to come back here, like second home. Coming here from BPL and also for home series Sri Lanka, West Indies, now Zimbabwe. Always good to come back.
I know Bangladesh is not doing well recently after the World Cup and from the World Cup. So, what are you thinking? What's the reason for this you are seeing about Bangladesh?
I think every country goes through a rebuilding phase. Bangladesh has come a long way since we were just talking about it on commentary from the early days to Test match cricket, which is always a difficult space to be able to rebuild. If you even look at a country like South Africa at the moment, they're going through a change with their players. And for a team like Bangladesh, it's never easy when someone like Shakib Al Hasan is not available for a certain period of time, and when he's a stalwart with both bat and ball and as captain. So you do go through the challenges, but the one thing you look at is that you've got a good future ahead of you. And when you see what happened in the Under-19 World Cup, that itself is an indication that cricket is in good hands, and that was a huge result for world cricket. I think to have Bangladesh coming out and winning, knowing that you have got all those cricketers to bank on as your future. And even in the current Test match, you're seeing the youngsters who are stepping up. Saif Hassan opening the batting may not have succeeded in the first innings, but certainly he as himself an under-19 player. Now Shanto is again one for the future. Young captain as well in Mominul. So I think that augurs well for the future rather than looking at present results. If you know the basis for the future is there, then that's all that you know is positives to look at.
Bangladesh team when they go outside the home and their performance getting lower than the performance they perform there. What are you thinking? What should we do to perform better in the foreign countries?
See, that again is a challenge, and it's not that you look at a team and say, okay, a team is doing badly, because I mean, historically many teams, unless they're really on top of their game, have done not as well overseas. Look at a team as strong as India. They might be world beaters on paper, but they are playing a current Test match in New Zealand, and certainly New Zealand is dominating that Test match. So it's not that suddenly people will turn around and say, okay, India now have some weaknesses. It's just about saying that, okay, overseas conditions, you need to adapt. And in the longest form of the game, surfaces matter. And I think the first thing, again, we've talked about in commentary today, is getting better pitches for domestic cricket, which I think is a big change. And the very fact that the current surface is not your typical, so easy to just put on a turning pitch and say, okay, we'll put on 4 spinners. Zimbabwe may not be great players, Spain like West Indies weren't. So if you think short term, yes, maybe you'll have a turning pitch and you'll win the match in 3 days and you've won the series. But if you look at the future, you have surfaces like this one where you challenge your quicker bowlers to come in, you get a bit of grass on the pitch, and I think that's the only way they'll succeed. A surface like this one is a kind of pitch you might find even in a place like New Zealand.
One added question with this. What do you think? In your country, in domestic structures, people are playing day-night cricket too. Do you think we also do need day-night cricket, and what should we do to improve our pitches and domestic circuit? Like, do we need to change the pitch curator, or what should we do actually?
No, I think when you have a continuity of someone who's been around for a while, even a curator can adapt. And the fact that we've got a pitch like we've got the current pitch here means that it's not about the soil. You can change surfaces. India maybe 10-15 years ago, every second Test match used to be, again, by day 3 you've got 3 spinners playing, 1 seamer, and it didn't do well for India playing overseas. Now the moment India has started getting better pitches domestically and for their longer form of the game, you've already seen a change of India travelling to England doing better, travelling to Australia doing a lot better. So I think that is the first challenge for the surfaces to happen. And yes, for day-night cricket, it probably is the future, even if it means 1 Test match a series to get crowds in. I think that's important. You need to make Test match cricket more popular. And we saw what happened in the 1 Test match when Bangladesh travelled to Calcutta to play that Test match. Yes, not a great result, but it was again a test of temperament. It was a test of character, because it's not easy to just adapt and play Test match cricket at night. So I think all this is something for the future to look at. And again, the way is to have domestic cricket played day night, and only then you can go forward and play.
You have heard maybe that a, a match, T20 two matches remaining, the name of Bangabandhu will be held in Maypur, and there are some Indian media who are very much popular. They have reported that four players, and including Virat Kohli, will be present in the side. Do you have any idea? But what's your comment? Uh,
I mean, again, I've not heard anything about it. Certainly, people would like someone of the stature of Virat Kohli to come, but I don't think it's in the players' hands. It's about the board looking at the workload of players, and given the timing of the game, how close it is to the IPL starting, even the fact that India is playing at one-day international on the 18th of March, third one-day international of the series against South Africa, even that is closer to the IPL than people would have liked. The commission in India has said ideally fortnight, 14 days is the ideal gap. This is technically less than 14 days, 29th is the first IPL game. So keeping all that in mind, maybe there'll be players whose workload hasn't been tested of late, but given India's depth, I think it'll still end up being four players who are still reasonable stars. I'm not sure about Virat Kohli, but whoever comes will end up still being a big enough name.
Last question. Your comment we need that Bangladesh don't get enough chances to play with India in India, and recently they have played a series after 12 or 14 years. What's your comment? What should they do to match themselves in the series or everything?
Well, again, that's not always in the local board's hands. It's a combination of what the two boards agree and what the ICC agrees. But yeah, that last series was refreshing, and I think for countries like when you're neighbors, it's important to play more cricket against each other, be it home or away, wherever. Especially because the travel time is short. It's even if you plan a short series at a short span in time. We used to play Sri Lanka so often. It's just a short flight across, so it's easy to plan. If you're thinking of a sudden series against New Zealand, you're looking at, okay, 5 days before, 5 days after, acclimatization, jet lag, this, that. There's no jet lag for a short flight from India to Bangladesh, so, and vice versa. So I think it's important just to keep that in mind, to look at that in a packed calendar. Even if you were to put in some format of the game, it's not difficult and it should happen.
I have one last question. Might be the ODI series will be Mashrafee will move to the last series as a captain. Recently, the board president has said that. But at the World Cup, he hasn't performed that much. Do you think he should continue the captaincy?
Well, it's always a tough question. I mean, India is asking the same question or did ask the same question about MS Dhoni for a long time, and nobody has the answer to that. It's partly up to the individual, partly up to the fitness. But I think Mashrafee has been an icon for Bangladesh cricket for a long time, and for world cricket. And I think his presence as captain, and we've seen him even in the shortest format, not just the T20 internationals, but for the T20 leagues, how he continues to be an inspirational leader. So I think it's up to the communication. If the board sits down with him and they come to a joint decision saying, listen, we want this to be your last, we want to give you a good farewell, it's up to him to say that, okay, fine, maybe these are my last 3 matches as captain, but I'd like to finish at so and so time. As long as there's communication, I think that's all that matters. What may have happened with someone like MS Dhoni is sometimes the communication wasn't there. What is he thinking? He's out of the team. Somebody making a statement like, is he good enough to play in the T20 World Cup? Ravi Shastri then saying, yes, if he performs in the IPL, then he'll play. You don't really want a player like MS Dhoni of this stature to be told, okay, if you perform, you'll be there. If you don't, you won't perform. So I think it's about communication. Anyone between the board, between the players, you communicate and then leave the rest of the world out to it. Media can speculate all they want to. We can all have fun talking about it, but the internal conversations that they have must be really clear, and so no one starts to gossip.
Thank you.